national exclusive interview with California Congressman Duncan Hunter, who was in a courtroom with his wife just a short time ago today. Both pled not guilty to a slew of charges surrounding the misuse of campaign funds. Hunter says that he is looking forward to fighting this case in court. And in court today, he was greeted by chants of "lock him up" and posters that said as much. Democrats are in overdrive, seizing this as an opportunity to swing a deep red Republican district their way. Hunter was one of the first two members of Congress to publicly support President Trump in 2016. The other is Chris Collins, who was indicted last month on charges of insider trading. Congressman Hunter will answer to those questions in just a moment. But first, Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry joins me live now tonight with the backstory. Hi, Ed.
Martha, great to see you. Breaking tonight, Congressman Hunter has temporarily stepped down from his 3 committee assignments in Congress under pressure from Speaker Paul Ryan, who was going to forcibly strip Hunter of those assignments in a sign of just how much political and legal hot water he's in right now. Stepping down from the Armed Services panel had to be particularly hard for Hunter, as a man who quit his job after 9/11 to serve his country as a Marine and did 3 combat tours. But also jarring is the fact this highly regarded veteran now stands accused of misusing campaign money, in some cases intended for wounded warriors. The congressman and his wife, Margaret, who serves as a campaign manager, pled not guilty, as you said, to some 60 charges of stealing $250,000 in campaign funds. The couple today greeted outside federal court with those chants of "lock 'em up." They allegedly used campaign cash for private school tuition, concealed theater tickets and dental work as charitable donations, and spent big money on personal goodies. $2,000 for a family member to attend a Pittsburgh Steelers football game, $2,800 at an Arizona resort and spa, more than $6,500 for a family vacation to Hawaii, and $14,000 on a trip to Italy, which the congressman allegedly tried to justify by asking for a tour of a naval base. When that failed, the congressman told a staffer, quote, "Tell the Navy to go F themselves." Now, when the congressman wanted to buy Hawaiian shorts but was short on cash, his wife allegedly told him buy the shorts at a golf shop so they could list the clothing as golf balls for wounded warriors. Mrs. Hunter also spent over $200 at a sportswear store and falsely told the campaign treasurer it was for an event, yes, with wounded warriors. That will not play well in the congressman's San Diego district that has a strong military presence. He succeeded his father in Congress, and the senior Duncan Hunter smells an attempt here to steal a safe Republican district right before the midterms. Listen.
This is football season. This is the political late hit. The Democrat attorneys who went to Hillary Clinton's fundraisers before they did this know that they had all the records on my son a year and a half ago. Now they're waiting until a few weeks before the election, when it's going to be very hard for him to get a trial finished and clear his name, and they're hoping that this charge itself takes his Republican seat and moves it into their column, the Democrat column.
Now, as you noted, Hunter and Republican Chris Collins of New York were the first 2 members of Congress to endorse the president, and they were each indicted on separate charges within days of one another. But the current U.S. attorney, we should note, who brought these charges against the Hunters is a Trump appointee. So the congressman is just a few weeks away before the election to try and explain why he spent, for example, $600 in campaign money on a plane ticket to fly the family rabbit across the country. Martha?
A lot of questions. Ed, thank you very much. Here now to answer some of them exclusively in his first national interview tonight, Congressman Duncan Hunter. Congressman, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in tonight to answer some of these questions. That's a pretty tough list that Ed just read. Are those charges true? Did you use campaign money for those personal expenses?
No, and in fact, the things that you were mentioning there were fundraisers. The trip to Pittsburgh, that was a fundraiser. That's how we campaign and try to raise money, is by traveling, having dinners, meeting people, and raising more money. That's how people get to hear me and hear what I have to say, then donate money. I mean, that's so those things that you mentioned. Number one, a couple of those things. My campaign did make mistakes. There was money spent on things, not by me, but by the campaign, and I paid that back before my last election. I paid back $60,000 after I did an objective audit. This is pure politics, and the prosecutors can make an indictment read like a scandalous novel if they want to. They've had a year and a half to do this. There's no way for me now to go out and be able to talk to my people or get this done in court before my election. They've had this for a long time. This is a late hit. My prosecutor and the acting U.S. attorney that issued the court orders to search my house and my office, they had just attended a Hillary Clinton fundraiser fundraiser with another U.S. attorney out of here in San Diego.
Well, I think,
so
Congressman,
you have three U.S. attorneys.
Just jump in for a moment.
Yeah.
I think that, people understand that there are campaign expenses, that you guys spend a lot of time fundraising, and that a lot of those fall into that category. But I got to ask you about some of the specifics of these. And some of them came from complaints from your own treasurer, and I think your chief of staff as well. So did you call your wife and say that you wanted to buy a pair of Hawaii shorts, but you didn't have money, and she said that you should buy the shorts at the pro shop so that you could falsely describe that purchase as some golf balls for wounded warriors?
Yeah,
did that happen?
I don't know what, I don't remember that, but I would never do that. I've never used any money, any campaign money to do anything, to buy myself anything, then slough it off for anybody else. I've never done that, Martha. And what they've done, what I've seen that they've done too, is edit some of these text messages and make them look different than they are. I can't pull down text messages from 5 years ago, but no, I would never do that. And just because somebody texted me that, doesn't mean that I had anything to do with anything that happened after that or did that.
Well, you also said yesterday that your wife handled a lot of the family expenses and the campaign finances. So are you saying that it's more her fault than your fault?
Well, I'm saying when I went to Iraq in 2003, the first time I gave her power of attorney, and she handled my finances throughout my entire military career, and that continued on when I got into Congress, because I'm gone 5 days a week, I'm home for 2. So and she was also the campaign manager. So whatever she did on that'll be looked at too, I'm sure. But I didn't do it. I didn't spend any money illegally. I did not use campaign money, especially for Wounded Warrior stuff. There's no way.
And what about the effing Navy comment that you heard Ed talk about? Did you ever say that?
Martha, I would have to say that I probably said that and many other things like that. I was in the Marine Corps for quite a while. I love the Navy. I love the Marine Corps and all the other services. My dad was in the Army. My little brother was in the Army. I might talk trash about the Army every now and then, too, but it's usually in good fun. It's all in good fun.
All right. So that was with regard to the $15,000 trip to Italy with your family, which your wife called in an email the best family vacation ever, which makes it sound like it's not business.
Now, I paid for the trip to Hawaii, except for when I was there on my own vacation, I wanted to call up the Navy and say, let me tour the base there. I do that all the time. Whenever we travel anywhere, we go by a military installation, or there's people there who I know that I want to go raise money or go speak to. We do that all the time. And by the way, Martha, too, I've been a prolific fundraiser. I've raised millions and millions of dollars for the Republican Party and for myself and for other candidates. The Department of Justice throwing out a bunch of campaign expenses and saying that I was doing those illegally is just wrong.
So, I mean, $174,000 a year is what a member of Congress makes. Do you think they should make more? Do you think you should make more than that? Is it not enough to live on?
I think it depends where you live. I think it's difficult to live in places like San Francisco or San Diego or New York or D.C. It's probably easier to live in Kansas or Missouri. So it's all relative.
Sure. Let me ask you this. You said that you paid back some of the money. Your father in that soundbite talks about how, this is all from a while ago, that they were basically sitting on these charges and they're using them against you now as we head into the midterm. So why didn't you just come forward at that point and clean the slate? Say, here's what I owe.
We actually did, Martha.
So all of this has been paid back. Every penny of what is outlined in here is $250,000 has been paid back?
No, because what they're alleging is wrong. I did an objective audit before my last election because I wanted to get this out of the way and face it head on two years ago. So we did an audit, and I paid back every dime plus. I didn't even quibble on stuff. I actually paid a few $1,000s extra. I paid back every dime that they say was not spent exactly according to campaign rules. That was done before the last election. I published it. I went on TV.
Understood.
I showed people the audit.
And that's the reason that you pled not guilty today with your wife. The charges go from 21 months to 5 years in jail if you're found guilty on these charges. And there were a lot of people out there today protesting, and they were holding signs that said, lock him up. You had one of those signs in your hand, I think, when you got into your car. Did you take one of those away from somebody?
No, they had put it in the windshield wiper. But hey, I can't help it if the Democrats here in San Diego like what the Democrats in the Department of Justice are doing to me and what they're trying to do with this political race. Right?
Let me just play you one soundbite from your opponent, Amar Kampa Najjar. Here's what he said about the whole thing today.
I think that man who served our country never made it back from the battlefield. And I think Washington chewed him up and spat him out, and he lost his way. And so I think people are looking for someone who will lead with their values, somebody who not only will pass laws, but follow the law.
Those are strong words. What do you say to him?
I would say that that's my socialist Democrat opponent, and that's what socialist Democrat opponents say. He'll have his turn when we have the election in a few months.
All right. You think you can still win?
I think I will still win.
All right. Congressman Duncan Hunter, we thank you very much for answering the questions and coming on the story tonight. Good to see you tonight.
Thank you, Martha.
So coming up next,